All right, so I've put together a list of about 15 people that have been instrumental to my year. I want to give some kudos to them. Here on Booktube, I haven't really been sure what to do with it. It's such a secondary channel. Sometimes I've done these in-depth reviews. Sometimes I've just been gone. Sometimes I've done jokes and skits and total stupid material, and I have a whole bunch of things planned. In the end, it's very much a secondary channel while I'm writing my own thing. But I want to give some kudos, and the thing that's so great about BookTube is that there's just so many people, and we all love reading, and we all have different tastes. The great thing about art, and I do see books as an art. Sometimes we can kind of overanalyze things, but I think there are certain people that I almost like a spirit animal. I relate to what they say about books. And a lot of these people, if I had to, I enjoy so many people that are in BookTube. And if you are not on this list, it shouldn't be offensive or anything like that, or I don't mean to offend, or I love. I could make this list 100 people long. Well, probably not that long. But of the people that are here, these are people that during 2023, they've left their mark on me, or I've gotten to know them, or I've taken their reviews on books or their recommendations, and they've really landed for me. And I feel like I can go to them when I need a suggestion. And obviously, again, it's art, and we all love different things, but these are the ones that I feel like I have a close connection with how they feel about books, or certain books that they really resonate with also resonate with me. So starting with Matt's book review, of all the people on this list, I feel like if I needed to get 100 books, and these would be the last 100 books to read, or maybe I shouldn't put that kind of criteria, but if I needed 100 books that I was going to read and hope that I was going to like them or whatever. This is a weird way to put, I'm a way better writer than I am a speaker. Anyway, Matt's book reviews, whenever he really raves about his book, I often feel the same way. And out of 100 books, I would probably agree with maybe 95 of them or 90 of them of being absolute banger books. I feel like he is one of the ones when I was looking for a fantasy series to go to. He was one of the ones who I listened to with regard to going to things like Faithful and the Fallen, with going to things like First Law, and most instrumental, I guess, is going to Malazan. And there will be some other people, because I of course I would have to talk about Malazan. This was the year of Malazan for me, and he was one of those people. His big long video, which one is it here? This video here was a big reason why I chose to take those first steps and to not give up in Malazan right away. But to take those first steps into the first book and then into the second book, and then trust that by the end of the second book, I would either be hooked or I could go. And he's been great, and he's given me a spot on his Discord, a little corner. He likes football, and I like football. I feel like he's just a great guy, and I've really enjoyed his reviews over the last year. I've liked going through some of these lists and getting to know him a little bit, and he's been great. So that would be my first kudos, I guess, of the year for Matt's Fantasy Book Review. Really great, and you should go also check his channel out. Now, next one here, I have ACriticalDragon, AP. When I started doing Malazan, I did a live stream when I got to House of Chains, which is book 4. And it was just about talking talking about the prologue. And I didn't really know anybody who's who in Malazan world. And he showed up and he was speaking and like he was leaving some comments and, you could tell that people knew who he was. I didn't know who he was at the time. He left a couple great comments that, as I was speaking, he would go, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by this? Or I would say something and he would go, well, that, like, the way that he would leave just these little comments that would kind of refocus some things without giving things away or without, he's just, I noticed right then, like I didn't know who he was, but I found that his comments were so poignant in kind of re-engaging my mind in that series. And when I went back, I noticed that he was one of these other people that I looked at I can't remember which video it was. It was something to do with before you read Malazan. And I went back and of all the people on this 15 or so that I have, he is the one that I probably have bookmarked the most to watch later. As I was going through, like I have so many of his videos bookmarked that I just didn't want to watch while I was reading Malazan, but I wanted to, because it can get very spoilery, I wanted to keep away from influences of people talking too much about Malazan. But of all the people that I'm just excited to go through, and he's very intellectual, it could be his, to be honest, it could just be his British accent. Like, he could be a total fool for all I know, and I wouldn't even know. I could just be getting duped by the guy, but I've really, really liked his videos, his analysis. I have liked his comments that he has given. He's been great. I've had some emails back and forth here and there, and really great guy, and a big part of my 2023. A lot of my videos that I would put out, I would he would be on my mind occasionally, and I would sometimes feel like a fraud saying some of the idiot stuff that I would say, but really appreciate him, and I'm going to be looking at a lot of his videos in 2024. And I also appreciate him for his writing advice. He was one of the people who helped, he had some influence with Philip Chase and his series. Philip Chase, another one that I'll come up to, that I'll speak about later, but have really appreciated some of his dialogues with Philip Chase and as well as with Steven Erikson. I've gotten a couple of those and a couple of these other people here, and I've really enjoyed some of his writing advice. As it was so great to read this great series and have this analysis from somebody who really looks at it through a writer's perspective or an editor's perspective. Number 3, Smiley's podcast. These were the first people who reached out to me to do a little live stream. You can see right here. When I started doing Malazan stuff, it was in book 3 of Malazan. And so that made it a little bit niche. But if you want to be even more niche, do a podcast about the books that are outside of Book of the Fallen, of the other Malazan books. And I haven't read those books, but I do want to connect with these two. Again, I got to talk to Mora and get to know her a little bit, speak with her in comments and in Discord. It was so much fun, and I do want to connect with them again to find out what my next steps are going to be in the world of Malazan. And I really appreciated them reaching out, and hope I can re-extend that favor, even though I don't do a lot. I haven't done any of that kind of stuff on my channel. So really enjoyed their stuff. Joanna, if we're sticking with Malazan, another person I have really, really appreciated for a lot of these big panel discussions, especially when it comes to Malazan. Another person that is just great, and I have really appreciated her analysis and thoughts on this series that has just meant so much to me. Philip Chase, I got a chance to talk with Philip Chase on his Dear Dr. Fantasy. He was one of the ones that I did know prior to reading Malazan, mostly because of these series, these top 10s right here. I was very much in historical nonfiction mode. And before I was reading fantasy, I was reading a lot of historical nonfiction and just historical fiction, as well as sci-fi, and as well as a lot of classic literary stuff. You know, Moby Dick and Dracula and Count of Monte Cristo and that sort of thing. And when I wanted to dip into fantasy, I found this guy and thought, hey, here's another guy who sounds smart, and he's got this jacket on, and he seems to be halfway intelligent. I'm going to listen to what he says. And he was another one who kind of would talk about Mistborn, which I enjoyed, and he talked about Faithful and the Fallen so highly, which I enjoyed, and there were some other standalones that I really, really enjoyed. And so when he, as well as Matt, as well as a lot of these other people, spoke so highly of Malazan, I mean, he will be one where I will have, like all these people, I will have subscribed to. And, you know, I don't catch all the videos of all these people, but I know that one of the nicest guys, too. And if he ever wanted to do another talk on his channel or on mine, I would love to do that. I loved his Way of a Dan, and I loved his second book, and I haven't had a chance to keep going on. He is also one of the reasons why I kind of dug my heels into writing some more. I was always writing and putting together this world, but after reading his book and hearing some of his videos about writing as well, it just kind of was it was inspiring. He was one of these inspirations to get me really getting my own story on paper. I had it in little short stories and all these maps and things like that, but after reading The Way of a Dan, it really made me kind of buckle down and want to really get my story on paper and really get headway with that. And so he's one of the reasons why I haven't been making a lot of videos in the last few months. So you can thank Philip Chase if you are a fan of this channel and you've wished for more stupid videos. Because of Philip, I've been doing a lot more writing. Thanks, Philip. BrandSanderson, I might as well throw him on here. I haven't read a lot of his books this year. I don't know if I've read any of his books. I started Tress of the Emerald Sea, and to be honest, I didn't totally jive with it. But I have loved his lecture series, and if we're speaking about writing, you know, what an interesting lecture series. It's been great. So I figured I would still put this out there. I'm not as massive of a BrandSanderson fan of the books as a lot of people are. I really loved Mistborn, and I've liked a lot of his other stuff, even though Stormlight hasn't quite landed for me as much as everyone. But you can tell he's a great guy, and he has great advice for writers. So might as well put that out there as well. Brian Lee Durfee is another one who I ought to give some kudos out to. Now, I haven't read his books, but he is another person who I very much know that I can take his recommendations and I very much connect with the same sorts of things that he connects with. And he's a Raiders fan, even though I'm primarily a Lions fan. My brother-in-law growing up when I was just 4, like he was a Raiders fan, and so that's kind of been my secondary team, and he always wears Raiders gear. And one of the things that I like about Brian Lee Durfee is he often comes at things with a writer's perspective, and he gives advice of which novels to read that are good for people who want to study good writing. And I promise, Brian, if you happen to be watching this, I will get to your book. I will get to it, or your books. I will read the first one this year. Even though I've seen you mostly as a booktuber this year, but I know that your books are criminally underrated according to like everyone who seems to be doing reviews about them, and I can't wait to get to your books as well. MediaDeathCult. So I am big time into sci-fi. And so I am a part of a cult, and it's the MediaDeathCult, and I really like this channel. If you are into sci-fi and recommendations, this is a great hub for you. And I often go for sci-fi when I need a good filler, and I will sometimes go here and I'll see some list, and most of the time I'll have one of these books and I'll throw it on. And anyway, figured I'd put that in there because I frequently go there for some ideas of what to read in between other things. The Shades of Orange booktube. Rachel is another person who has a lot of the same sort of tastes as me for some things. Some things are very different, but as far as spooky gothic stuff, she has some of the same tastes, as well as sci-fi. Have really, really enjoyed this channel at times. Really good lists. WordsinTime. We were going to do a bit of a collaboration sort of thing, and it ended up, I just decided not to do that for my channel at the time, doing those kinds of collaborations, but really, really great channel as far as sci-fi. Again, another person who is almost like my sci-fi spirit animal. When I go to him, or when he says that he likes a book, 9 times out of 10, it's dead on. Dead on. I don't know how to say his last name. He's another British guy. Could be a total idiot, but he doesn't sound like an idiot. And the stuff that he says, I have a special place in my heart for classic literature and enjoying old novels. He shares, I believe his favorite book is Don Quixote, which is at least in my top 3 favorite books of all time. I really, really enjoy Benjamin's channel, and I have for quite some time. Knew about him in the past and will continue to go along with some of his book club sort of things that he does. He does sort of a buddy read sort of thing. I kind of quietly take part in that while I'm focusing on fantasy and some other things, but I just can't let go of my first love, which is just classic literature. So 4 more left, and I keep like burping or something. I don't know. It's late at night, and I've been eating a bunch of turkey and stuff. Petrik has been a big part of this year. Now, he was a big part of getting me into this new genre of fantasy. And I don't always jive with the same things as him, but he has such a good pulse on what's current. And so I've taken a lot of his books and his book recommendations, and they often land. They haven't always for me. But I like his energy, and I like his positivity, and I like his takes. I like that that he's thorough in his analysis for books, and I will continue to enjoy his channel. Another one, Mike's Book Review. This is one where I probably veer furthest from tastes in a lot of ways. Like he's a big Stephen King fan, and Stephen King just hasn't quite worked for me yet. But he's another one where I've enjoyed his energy and was a big part of getting me into or more into fantasy, and usually has a pretty good, pulse on or touch on the, whatever. Another good YouTuber that I've enjoyed a lot of his videos. I haven't had a chance to really keep up with it so much this year because I've been reading my own stuff and haven't really kept with BookTube as much, but another great one. Michael K. Vaughan, the stately Vaughan Manor. One of my very favorite YouTubers, another one who, if I needed a list of 20 books, like these top 20 books or classics you must read, and he has a special place in his heart for some things that I have a special place in my heart for, like Sherlock Holmes and Frankenstein and Dracula. And even though I haven't read Conan, he loves Conan and The Count of Monte Cristo and Dostoevsky and Tolstoy and some of those books that I just love. Now, he gets way more into some things like Lovecraft, which hasn't really done it for me necessarily, but I do appreciate it, and things like Tarzan. But I want to give him his credit for being highly intellectual, but also being, he reads a wide variety of books that I appreciate, and will continue to appreciate his good attitude and his videos. Who do I have last year? Oh, yeah. So right here I have, let me stretch this out a little bit. I have some of the people who have been along the way for my videos. And so I've gotten to know a lot of them, a lot of very familiar faces here who I've gotten to know on Discord. And because I haven't been doing Malazan videos or many videos at all, I haven't gotten to talk with them so much. But hopefully when I get back to doing Malazan videos, they will be back. But who knows? But I really appreciate them as well. And they've been a big part of my 2023, and I want to just give them their kudos as well. So I hope you guys have a great 2024. And if you are also wanting to write or get some other big goal done, I think you should make some steps to do so. Remember that sometimes it has to be broken down into small little bite-sized goals, and really the most important part of it is not so much that you are a brilliant, talented person, but that you have discipline and that you actually set that time apart to do those things that you really want to accomplish. I've had a productive fall where I've gotten to do some of what I've wanted to do. I hope I can have a good 2024 for writing and reading all these great books along with you guys. And again, I really appreciate you guys who have been a part of this. And if I haven't mentioned you, I honestly could make this probably another list of 20 or so people that I've really appreciated for my 2023, and appreciated some great authors. Steven Erikson, the one that obviously has been the most influential for me this year. Can't wait to do more deep dives into some interviews that he's had. I have spoken with him off screen, and we've talked about maybe doing something for this channel. I haven't really figured out what to do. I would like to do some Dan and Aaron type stuff, but obviously, I'm busy right now. But I do want to do some fun things for you guys, and I wanted to give you guys this, and really, I do sincerely appreciate the people that I've mentioned, and I've really enjoyed speaking with you, or taking some great insight from your channels, be it for review sort of recommendations or writing or your humor or whatever. So talk to you guys all soon. Bye.